It's important enough to come to me. Yeah, all these. Not too early. It's never this quiet.
I know. It's only 6:59. Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing on the amendment to fiscal year 2025-2026 City of Granger budget. Any comments, questions on the public hearing for the amendment of the fiscal year 2025-2026 City of Granger budget? Okay, Kirk, Chrissy, any correspondence, other information regarding this public hearing? All right, council, comments, questions? Nope. All right, one last chance. Okay, I'm going to close the first public hearing on the amendment to the fiscal year 2025-2026 City of Granger budget. That means I'm going to open the public hearing on changing the zoning of certain land in A1 Agricultural District to PUD Plan Unit Development District, Beaver Creek Estates PUD. Any questions, comments on the public hearing on changing the zoning? Okay, Kirk, or Chrissy, Kirk, any comments or correspondence regarding that? Council, questions, comments, concerns? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing on changing of zoning of certain land in the A1 Agriculture District to PUD Plan Unit Development District, Beaver Creek Estates PUD. Then I'm going to open a public hearing on the proposed voluntary annexation of property into the City of Granger, Polk County, and Dallas County, Iowa. Any questions or comments regarding the proposed voluntary annexation of property? Kurt, Christy, any comments, correspondence regarding this public hearing? No. Council, questions, comments? Nope. All right, one last chance for commentary or questions. Okay, I will close the public hearing on the proposed voluntary annexation of property in the City of Granger, Polk County, and Dallas County, Iowa.
Okay, Bermal,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
Triad.
Yes.
Motion to approve agenda?
Second.
Sharp,
Yes.
Triad,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
All right, public forum. There were no signed up comments for the public forum, but does anyone have any topics to discuss in the public forum before we get to the agenda? Okay, first topic then is Vintage Road Coffee.
Yeah, I can address some of that, and something that has City Attorney has some commentary. So, City Council had discussed and approved providing free temporary parking, or at least some guidance on parking on Broadway out in front of the proposed vintage room coffee. In discussion with the city attorney, we think it's probably best to just limit the timeline, because it is public right of way, it is public street. We shouldn't be granting specific parking to a specific business, but we can limit it to a time.
So most commonly, pardon my voice today. Most commonly in these situations, it's best not to devote a public resource for private use. I've run into that in other situations where they're careful. And so most cities, when I was looking into it, address that by putting a temporary parking limit on the positions, so, or those spots. So we can say 3 spots have a 15 or a 20-minute parking limit. And so that just kind of forces the turnover of the spots so they don't just get parked and stayed in, which I think probably gets to the same end as they're hoping for the coffee shop there. And so I had drafted up an ordinance 438 with just, a possibility of the number of minutes and how that would work. You can adjust that however if you see fit differently. Basically for the 3 spots on the north side of Broadway between 2206 and east of the alley, located between 2206 and 2202, to be 15-minute short-term parking. One question would be whether you want that to be that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or if you want that just during business hours or something like that. Probably easier to police if it's 24/7 than it always has to be.
I guess that's my question. Chief, do you have any comments on this?
I think making it temporary, the right crowd.
So what, if someone stays 20 or 25 minutes, is someone at the coffee shop going to call you and ask you to be enforced? What happens when we go past this time limit?
It'll be me, they'll call and they'll just get a parking ticket.
That's the best use of resources.
Is there anything
It's doing parking and illegally anywhere else in town, but
How about just the hours?
There'll be signs that-
Operation?
What's that?
If they're open from 6 to 4, I mean, is there any precedence for just going for the length of time they're open?
doing the
Designated.
15-minute parking or doing the,
Just designated for that business during that time?
it's just not a good idea to designate public resources for a private business.
I don't think, as the community grows, there's no reason, if there are other businesses that go into similar to those locations, there's no reason not to have. It doesn't have to be specifically tied to the coffee shop in the future. It just says that 15 or 20-minute parking.
I mean, it may make sense at some point to be a 1-hour parking or a 2-hour parking limit too for something
That
else.
makes more sense to me, if you're going out, if you're going and working for a little bit. I mean, what we're trying to get away from is people that maybe live there, parking overnight and doing it there all day, right? So I'd be more inclined to like an hour or something like that, or 15 minutes, could be less calls for him too.
I guess that's my other question. Do we know we have a problem with people parking there all day currently that we're trying to?
We have some tenants parking there, and then it's a busy location. I mean, you've got the daycare there, and you've got the trucking company across the road. The others, Molly's not an issue. She parks both on the east side of the building and on the south.
Didn't we have an ADA issue too, where we wanted to make one of those spots curbside pickup? And wasn't the whole point that we didn't want to have them try to do a ramp or something like that, so we wanted to designate. So that's my question, I guess. My only suggestion would be, can we make one of those spots, if that's what the council decides to do, like a curbside pickup spot? And that can be for the vet, it can be for models, it can be for, can we do that? Just designate one curbside and the other one's a 1-hour parking, or? It doesn't have to be for that business, but there's other businesses there.
There's like 3 spots, so I'm not sure why. If somebody pulls up there and calls the business that they're dealing with to bring them out something, I don't know if we would designate one spot.
I just didn't know with ADA if we have to specifically have a curbside pickup spot.
Just
or
to
not.
Accommodate, just have to have some accommodation, so I
Okay, so that that'll
think
satisfy.
this would satisfy that. Yeah, that's the question. But yeah, so kind of the question in front of you is, do you want to do this? Do you want to do 3 spots? Do you want to do those 3 spots? And if you do, then how you want to structure the time restriction if you put a restriction on parking. You want 24 hours a day? Do you want 15 minutes, half hour, hour? Your coffee shop, I would think, turns over fairly quickly with people coming through it. If that's the idea.
I think you gotta keep it consistent. That's just me.
Yeah, I only thought I'd go at least 30 minutes and
I don't have strong feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to have additional calls to Joe for parking tickets to the chief. That's not exciting to me, but
30 minutes is adequate.
That's what I was gonna suggest. It's kind of a happy medium between what's in there and an hour.
So we can pass it with a note of 30 minutes, the ordinance as is, except a note of 30 minutes, or not pass it, but approve it on first reading tonight, and then I can make the adjustments to the document and bring it back for second reading. It's an ordinance, not a resolution.
And just so you guys know, like, if I get called there for a violation of 30 minutes, I have no way to verify that it's 30 minutes. So that 30 minutes starts over when I see it. Does that make sense? Because I can't write it and go to court and be like, hey, I testified that car's been there for 30 minutes.
yeah, that makes sense.
you guys good with this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 438, amending the code of ordinance to provide for certain short-term parking 30 minutes in first reading.
Second.
Okay, Stock,
Yes.
Schreier,
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Dennison.
Anything else on item before that? All right, Bob, you're up. And I'm logging 7:10 p.m. So.
1 hour, you 45 minutes.
Let's go 25.
First thing we have is following up on the public hearing. This is the same voluntary annexation that we approved a few months ago. There was an issue with getting notice to a couple of parties, so Ben indicated we had to go back to the public hearing and reapprove it. So it's the same with two properties on the west side of 121st. And it's, this is just more of a procedural cleanup. This is the last thing we need. We got everything else. So as soon as we have the publication of the notice and everything, we'll file with the state development board. So
And I got that, I think yesterday, so I'll file the city development board tomorrow.
So this is sort of a cleanup, coordinating work, so.
Okay, make a motion to approve resolution 2025-36.
Second.
Okay, Stock,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Burnham,
Yes.
Schreier.
Yes.
Oh, big exhale. That was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So that'll be good when that gets to the city development board.
Yeah, so for public information purposes, this is farmland on either side of 110th, basically all the way to 121st, except Jester Lakes. And then there are 2 farms north of Jester Lakes that'll be included, accepting out any homes that are on the west side of 121st.
All voluntary.
All volunteer.
All right.
The next one's under my gig, but I don't have anything to say about it, so.
And Kirk, are you doing this one?
I thought he was going to be in attendance. Yeah, I followed up with, council had asked for us to talk with Park and Rec on when we could utilize Grandwood Gym. I think at the time that this was negotiated, I think that perhaps Jody and Tony are the two that are still on the mayor and council who were involved in this development agreement. I did reach out, I did submit to John Klein the times that the Park and Rec department could utilize Grandwood Gym, supplied that to him, and then he was going to come here and talk to the council and discuss the development agreement. But I don't have any other information than that.
Yeah, the original development agreement pulled out, and there's no details on usage there. But it also says people are abiding by on the pavements that they're wanting to change. So this is kind of like, if they want to change this, then let's codify kind of the discussions that were had that it was going to be a public use, or available for public use.
So the gym time was not in the original agreement.
Not that I came across.
It was just discussed at the
It
time.
was discussed as part of the.
It wasn't,
Sort of an understanding, not a. It's my.
I think it was more of a, well, yeah, of course, you can use that.
Yeah, and then it changed hands pretty quick, and
That's true.
Well, I mean, I think we can set this aside for right now until it comes.
Yep.
And so see when he shows up, we can follow up.
And just procedurally, it doesn't really need addressed right now because it's gonna be too late to set a public hearing and have it done before December 1st. But we have to set our tip anyway, so it's gonna be next,
So
it's gonna be next year when it applies anyways, so
so we have till November 30th, 2026.
pretty much.
which I think is, my only commentary is, maybe middle school be open by then. That would be expensive gym use for those of you who are gonna be around. That's just my feedback. All right,
Moving on to the water tower, the booster station, they progressed on the water tower, we're getting close to getting that thing up and running. They're still working on some control work and, it's been disinfected, so we're getting close. So we have, basically, we're kind of on parallel paths, bringing both the water tower and the booster station, to completion. The goal is still to fire it up here before the end of the year, so I think we're on track for that. So what we have tonight is two items. One is partial payment estimate 10 for the water tower, the amount of $85,975. Each street has reviewed it, recommended approval. I've taken a look at it. It's, I think we should be approved. It's in line with what work they completed. So that's before you consider approval.
any discussion from the council on one or two there under C? Otherwise, we can get motions.
Motion to approve partial payment estimate number 10 for the water tower project in the amount of $85,975 from McGuire Iron Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, Stop.
Yes.
Schreiber.
Yes.
Brumel.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
The next item is partial payment estimate 7 for the booster station. This is the amount of $5,559.25, 559.25. This is again for some of the final electrical integration work. They still got a little bit more to do once the tower is up and running, so that those two talk to each other, because the booster station and the tower have to electronically talk to each other, because when the tower is full, the booster station turns off, and the water level in the tower drops down, the booster station has to come back on. So without that electronic communication, we can't do it as accurately. There's a backup pressure switch. We could run it without it, but the idea is those two talk to each other so that we have precise control. So we're moving along, the booster station kind of is tagging along a little bit as the water tower control system. So again, it's been reviewed and recommended. I've taken a look at it and recommend that the council consider it for approval.
Everybody good? Yep. Make a motion to approve partial payment estimate number 7 for the water booster station project in the amount of $5,559.25 to Chrysler.
Second.
Okay, Schreiber.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
Brumel.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Sycamore Street Improvement Project, we have a partial payment estimate number 6, in the amount of $244,921.21, 244,921.21. That's for work during the month of October. A lot of it's the paving of that first southerly reach, some of the work on the intersection, some other miscellaneous work. I think Sternwood still thinks they're on track to get the road open and all the driveways and everything completed this year. We've probably got about another month of construction, assuming that it stays tolerable. Now, as we get to this time of the year, there will be times when they can work and times they can't. But, like last week, it was cold and now it warms up. So they're getting ready to do the next pour. They've changed a little bit to speed the process up, do a little bit more paving machine work, a little bit less hand work up in the roundabout, and that's fine. So we don't have an issue with that. So I think the one thing that won't get done this year is the trail. That was sort of, hopefully when we get it done, The trail really only runs up to the school, and so the real goal is to make sure we get that done in the spring, well in advance of the time that the school opens next fall. I think we're still easily on track for that, so. We do have one small change order. If you remember a couple months ago, we talked about we were gonna switch up the side of the storm sewer, basically from the creek up to White Oak. Originally, Eastern came and designed it to go to the west, hook into an existing south flowing storm sewer. Property owners really didn't like that. It was inside the fence. There's an easement in their yard, and we'd have to get in there. And also the capacity of that storm sewer probably wasn't ideal. So the thought was we would flip it over, put it on the east side. That would make, we didn't have to get it in people's yards. We didn't have to worry about the capacity. And so to do that, we had to change some structures around. We had to build a couple structures, one which they ultimately didn't use because we were able to find a cheaper way to do it. So when we mushed all those things together to change it over, to get out of the yards and to get additional capacity, this change order is in the amount of $2,953.77. Work was done a while back, it's just been taking time to get the paperwork pushed together. So we would recommend approval of partial payment estimate 6 in the amount of $244,921.21, and then after that's done, we can consider the change order.
Two things, Bob. Do you feel like we're still on track for coming in under budget, like we had kind of understood? The second thing, it seems to me like it's dragging along. I mean, this is just me, I'm not super impressed with the progress that's been made.
Okay.
Is there anything that you know that you can speak to on that?
What happens on any contractor when they lose time in the summer, they're playing fruit basket up, they're trying to balance things around on the fall, trying to get things done. The other thing that happened on this one is that their original schedule got pretty well bollocksed up by the utilities not getting out of the way. And so, yeah, they're not moving along as quickly as they hoped. We're just pushing them to try to get the whole thing done this fall.
Was there any leverage points on waiting to approve this until we reach a certain benchmark?
Really under Iowa law, of course, then you've got to pay them. This is for work completed, not work yet to be done, so.
Yeah, we had utility conflicts and fiber lines with 3 different utility companies. We got gas line that was in the way. We had Mid-American poles that were in the way. And we had some engineering things through the insurance firm that probably could have been smoother. We're relatively happy with Sternquist. We haven't been happy with how the rest of the process is going.
Then he had 6 weeks already.
Yeah. And so when do they propose having that section open?
They're supposed to start pouring Friday again.
Which means
Or what?
This
Heading
would
north on the Sycamore.
When are they gonna have the southern part?
Right.
Nobody cares about north.
Well, if
there's no traffic, just the
I'm just saying that because the natives are getting restless.
you don't have to tell me about that.
Well, then part of it is we're slowing up the development to the west as well. We're having to drive on a dirt road to get through there. And I understand the pricing of development and growth.
I was told that they should get through White Oak quickly, and that they're gonna start pouring that Friday. So they got pour it, and then they have a cure period. And I don't know what that cure period is, 7 days.
Well, it's 7 days a week right early if the weather's right.
So once that's done, they open up to the south end, so you come down Sycamore South?
Yep.
Is that the plan? Do we
That's,
know?
yeah, that's what we've been told.
Give me your best guess, Bob, of when we can drive on Sycamore.
Bob, don't do it.
No, it's all, hey, this is,
My guess
we
is.
can't do that. When people ask me, any idea? I can't say, I don't know.
Middle of October, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, of course it'll be open in 27, but,
My guess is it'll be open by Thanksgiving going south.
All of White Oak, up to Dunwoody, should be open by Thanksgiving. There I said it. Let me get in more trouble than I already did.
there you go. That's helpful though. It is helpful because
That's
he's
what
right.
you're telling me, and we have the utility conflicts that I'm aware of out of the way.
I think everything, all that's out there, yeah.
Okay. Do we have a plan then, what we're gonna do for no parking on streets, and is that gonna change once that south part of Sycamore is open?
Are people still listening to that?
Well, the sign's open, they were just on.
No, let's open that up, we open up all that.
All right, I didn't know if there was some other plan that we need to talk about
Go ahead
ahead
and
of
open
time.
up the neighborhood and be done.
Because if we do that again, I'd rather educate people
Let's just open it
before
up.
we do it.
Let's just open it.
Okay, I understand. Cool. So on that, with that in mind, as long, can I put a contingency for Thanksgiving? I'm just teasing, but are you guys good for a motion? Yes. You good? Okay, make a motion to approve, partial payment estimate number 6 for Sycamore Street Improvement Project in the amount of $244,921.21 to String Cliffs Construction Incorporated.
Okay. Sack,
Yes.
Trapp,
Yes.
Brumel,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Action approved change order number 6 to compensate the contractor for modifications and deletions of work associated with the storm sewer for the total cost increase of $2,953.77.
Okay. Sack,
Yes.
Trapp,
Yes.
Brumel,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
To answer your question on the budget, with the contingent of certainly to build in the financing, I think we're still high on budget.
Okay.
We still have a few loose ends, but as of right now, I think we're okay. Highway 141, we had the open house here a week and a half ago, had a really good crowd. And a lot of interest in it. It's open for the public comment period through the end of this week. We'll see what gets back. I think you've seen sort of what Snyder is proposing. We'll see what comes out of it. We're not sure where, we think we know where the options are. And what it's going to boil down to is, I think everybody's in agreement that 17 needs to be modified to go south to tie in to 102nd or 200, depending which county you're in. It becomes a little bit more nebulous and a little bit more uncertain as you go east. As you notice, there's one of the alternatives just basically dead ends those streets, so there's no connection from 102nd. So the right in, right out would go away. There'd be no connection, so just be absolutely, you'd have to go back. On the south side, you'd have to go back to the west to get on in 17. They won't do that till that light is in. And on the east, you'd have to go east on 102nd, north on 121st, east on 106th, down the new street to get on 141 and vice versa. So it's not ideal. There's 3 of them in that, 3 of the alternatives. One of the alternatives just has that option. There are several alternatives that have what's called a double interchange. So you have ramps to get on and off at both 17 and 102nd, and a bridge over it, over 141 to 102nd. That option would be like a second phase, so it's going to be down the roadways. One of the things that Kirk and I have talked about, and we're going to have this is going to be a balancing act if it goes this way. If you look at, right now all of our focus is on the south side of where Beaver Creek Estates is. If you look at longer term, there's more property to the north that really doesn't have very good access either. We don't really want to drive all that traffic back on to 17 through Twin Eagles. One, because we don't want all that traffic in the residential neighborhood. The second is, the last thing we need is more traffic trying to get on and off 17 right north of the interchange. So longer term, the bigger, if we're looking down the road 20, 30 years, the bigger issue for access is on the north side. Because there's so much more developed land that we've annexed on the north side than there is on the south side. I mean, once the area is developed, Beaver Creek Estates and potentially a few others to the west of that, that's pretty much it. It's bounded by the slough on the south. The challenge is the space that it takes to get that interchange, because if we have to get a bridge over 141, we got to get the road up. And particularly on the south side, we're in a low-lying area. And there's a minimum distance from the bridge, from the ramp, or the interchange ramps back to the next intersection, which pushes the roads at least 400 feet away. So what it does is it's gonna be this balancing of access versus loss of property to build the interchange. We're not here tonight to make that decision, but I just want you to think about, as we balance those things in the long term, which is the better way of going? You know, and we're gonna have to get input from the adjoining property owners. We don't even know where the DOT is. We're getting some signals that they are fine with the double interchange. We're getting other people at DOT that are sort of pushing back and saying, no, you should build a frontage road. And the one they cite to us is, if you're familiar with Amos Mortensen Road between Dakota on the west, over the water tower on the west, and University Boulevard. So you can get off of one and down Mortensen between the others. There's really a couple stoplights. That's not a very good example. I don't know that getting between 17 and the new road exactly looks like Mortensen Road when you're going through, winding through residential neighborhoods. That's me, not Mortensen Road. But there's some people there that are pushing that, say, all you do is hook these things together and you've got to wait and we don't need to get it. So, don't know where we're going on this, but I think ultimately it's going to boil down to the city's going to have to provide some serious input on those alternatives. Whether you want to have that double interchange with better access, looking at the loss of, developable property immediately adjacent to that interchange, or whether you say no, the developable property is more important than we'll do with less suitable access, more out of the way access. So you can take a look at those alternatives and drawings and kind of ponder what you think is the better. And we'll probably, my guess is that this will be a topic of discussion at the December meeting. Because by then we'll be through the public comments, we'll have the final report from Snyder, and we can release the draft of the final report, and then we can sort of put our 2 cents into it.
And I want to share publicly and have it recorded, my 2 cents on this. So the city of Granger inherited the current situation. We had other communities and entities in the past make decisions coming out of Grimes all the way to Highway 17. It's no secret the city of Grimes will be absorbing a tremendous amount of growth in the next 10, 15 years. We can accommodate the current development on the south side of 141. If we get access from Highway 17 down to 102nd, we can manage effectively traffic on 102nd, back to the interchange, over to Xavier, probably around Benevetti's property over to 190th. We can manage all of that successfully and safely and not have an economic impact for the future of that land. Anything east of Twin Eagles, you can't get access to. And we can't shove traffic. I mean, we're being forced in this position. 121st is closed. There's no further access until you go clear over to the Navy Marine Base and get access to that new road. So everything east of Twin Eagles right now, you can't go north because you have a major ravine and we have some issues, but you would have to develop within Hope K and push it up to 106th, out to 121st, and if you want to come back to Granger, you got to go up to 110th and come. I feel it's totally unacceptable. We're fighting, there's a lot of details, there's a lot of things that we're working through, but the Cliff Note version is, we inherited the north side of 141 with zero access, irregardless of the economic impact that it has to the landowner and the community's tax base. It forces more traffic if we allow it, and we don't think we'd approve a plat that does push more traffic into Twin Eagles.
Right.
But this isn't something that the city did. We weren't at the table. Granger in the past 2 years has paid a significant amount of money for lobbyists and meeting with DOT, trying to get some pressure done. It's been a little bit successful. You got a stop sign that we're all probably not happy with out in the middle of Highway 17, but it does provide access back to the orchard and back to Grimes. So we did get that.
Yeah, on that note, the stop sign is a disaster. It is, I understand maybe why it's there, but it's not safe. Maybe eventually when people get used to it, it's been a bad deal.
Yeah, well, it wasn't our, we had.
I know it's not ours, now, people.
So we
think it's
requested, you know, and so when DOT watches this, and they'll probably watch it now, we did request access. Did we design
Yes.
it? No. But we did request, you can't take the crossovers out if our community cannot get back. You know, someone lives on the north side, they have to be able to get back and get to the orchard. Why would you cripple an existing long-term business that nobody can get to?
Now that I'm fully on board, of course we did that. I think the design of that on the record is horrible. I think there's a lot of other opportunities they could have done there. So I think of course we needed access to 102nd, but the other frustrating part is if you drive up 141 towards Grimes, there's still driveways across the interstate to houses, like single family homes. And we lost access, 2-3 different spots between here and Grimes, and they still have several of them up there. So it's extremely frustrating.
And there's still crossover traffic to head back up 121st heading south.
Absolutely.
But you're not gonna be
But
able
you
to
can't
head
come from our area
100%.
down in it. So it is super frustrating. And then 102nd, I mean, how's it working out for you?
I mean, I went on a fire call just a couple of days ago, and I talked to a sheriff, and he said he blew that stop sign 3 times because he just didn't realize it was there. So I don't know if the city or the DOT can maybe put a flashing light there, because now since my family is now turning on to 141 back that way, it is now very concerning to me, because when that fire call came through, I was not home, and it was very, scary for me. Did my family just get T-boned? And in that matter, we called the DOT, and we just got a call back today, and we asked if they ever anticipating on putting a turn lane off of 141 onto 102nd, and they straight up told us, we know that it's not safe, but we are not doing that. There has been 0 accidents crossing over 141 onto 102nd and records, and now there is high risk of getting rear-ended turning on 102nd. So when you're going on to 100 from 17 to 141st, people are looking left. They're not looking for people doing 15 miles an hour turning right on 102nd when you're doing 70 miles an hour.
But they're putting one on 121st area there for you to do like a U-turn, which is going to be extremely dangerous as well. So if you go to 121st, they're capping it so you can't go out to Jester. But if you're heading east, you can turn around still in the median. And
that does nothing for 102nd. That does nothing for us. So we're going to go up to Casey's and turn left now and take gravel all the way to our house, because it's not worth the risk for my family to turn right on off of 141st onto 102nd, because people are doing 70 and we're going to get rear-ended. There's going to be accidents. The fire department needs to know that there's going to get especially when development gets developed. So if something doesn't change at that intersection, we went from 0 accidents to potentially multiple.
Comment period, there's documents out on our webpage. Comment period is open until the 14th. Okay. It's a significant concern for us. I mean, just imagine if they go through with one of the proposals and they end 102nd. So you can't get to it from 141.
That's in the proposal.
I would rather have that be dead-ended, so you have to go up to Casey and go around, because that would be the safer option, which would suck, honestly, because it takes longer to get home.
But just imagine how long it takes
safe.
you to get to a call on the north side of those homes down on the north side on 102nd. If there's a call and they take that access away, you guys are running those tankers up the hill at 110. And how do you get around to that and get back to them? It's just not a good plan.
Or they need to put a turn lane in. They spent all that money for us to get off on 102nd to go turn around. Why not add a turn lane there? They spent all that money to do that, but they're like, we're not going to put money into it. That's up to Granger. That's what they said. It's Granger. Like,
What's our recommendation for anything right now? Just post comments to
We're working with Snyder Engineering
If you have
on
comments,
options.
post them in the.
Yeah.
post them or tell, let's make sure people know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
DOT, is they got a spot? You can do that.
no,
I mean, put a sign up, put flashing lights up,
Right.
something to make it more safe for our families.
I documented both.
Plain and
those things.
simple. But
Absolutely.
flashing lights at the stop signs off 141st.
They
White
did
Rock
put rumble
17.
strips in, I noticed, I don't know when they did, but I noticed them today. But yeah, people are still blowing that stop sign, for sure.
A sheriff told me he blew it 3 times. A sheriff. So they just throw a stop sign up on 17 and said, okay, stop. Like, I mean, it's a little sign. Put flashing lights up. But DOT said it's up to Granger to put the lights up.
So my point was, we are fighting for the community. We do feel that there needs to be alternatives. That bridge across at 102nd is to be a heavy lift, but if we can get that, it needs to be in the plan, so that at future points, whether that's 10 years, 20 years, whatever, Granger has the option. And then there would be federal money and perhaps some state money involved in it, so it wouldn't be all on the city. But there needs to be a plan in place so that that north side has access. I mean, the traffic counts are going to continue to increase, not just because of us, but because of commuter traffic. And 17 can't bear that pressure for us.
you know, how successful we're gonna be in short-term improvements. You know, we've been fighting the DOT for 2 years. Ultimately, I think we've got to push, I mean, no matter what we do, we got to push for the interchange, 17 interchange. Because that would get allowed, that would eliminate, then you can go south and you don't have to get back on and move back out. And that can all go away because you're going to have a conventional ramp terminal with, you can go turn instead of these free right turns and free left turns. And so we'll just have to push on that. So once we get a plan, then I think we're going to have to start pushing really hard. Kirk's been meeting with some of the, like the MPO, the planning organization. We've got an item on here to get to the COG. We're probably going to be talking to Service and Ohio Regional Transportation Planning Association. MPO they have the federal money, and Polk County certainly has the money in Dallas County. So once we have a plan, I think then we're going to have to start pushing hard on the funding agencies and DOT, but at least we'll have a plan.
Hey, Bob, for clarity, I want to follow up what he said. The DOT said it's on the city to put flashing lights. We don't have the ability to do that, right? It's not ours.
No, they didn't.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that we couldn't do that. And they're saying, if you want to do it, do it.
No, what they're saying is if you want it, you pay us to do it. I think that's what they're saying.
Well, how much would it cost? Let's look at it.
And Ron, to your question, on the city website, so there's a link to IOT period, comment period.
Okay.
And then there's 3 documents, one of which is comment sheet. That's what somebody wants to make their comments known. That's the print off and send in. You know, saying it here doesn't.
Or if you want to take,
Right.
and if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can send them to Kirk and we can send them on to Snyder.
Someone can print them off, go door to door, fill them out, and I'll send them on.
Well, the parking lot, I got here at 5:35 with that thing, and the parking lot was completely full. I mean, this room was completely full of people. And I know I was telling people, comment flashing lights, comment turn lane, comment, I mean, those are the types of things that they need to hear.
Is that on the DOT website?
No,
The city put all the documents on the city website with the link that you can click and write your comments. That will go to the DOT.
Well, it goes to Snyder, then
To Snyder, yeah.
So are they keeping 121st open, like you said, Rob? Or because I thought every
South.
even the median.
Yes, what they're doing.
It's a turn lane now.
Because I thought every uncontrolled interchange, but you got to keep it open for those $4 million houses.
That's exactly right. What they kept open is coming from Grimes on 121st. You can come up, you can go across the interstate or across 141, and then they're putting an inside third lane in there. Is what they're doing. But yeah, they give them access. It's ridiculous.
Back to those Towner Drive.
But then you drive up to Grimes, and they left them in for just individual residents. And we've got businesses and multiple homes, and It's super frustrating.
We don't have a problem now because it's the off season, but once the apple orchard is
Absolutely.
full grown, you're gonna have rear ends every week.
I'll back him up. I've seen
Yeah.
multiple cars almost hitting it right there already.
I've almost gotten hit 3 times.
It's not gonna make 121st any safer either at 141. We just had an accident last night, night before. I mean, they're gonna continue to have serious accidents at that intersection because people are going 60, 70 mile an hour through there, and you still have traffic coming through.
I get what they're trying to do, I do, but I feel like they closed it prematurely. That's
And
all.
for the development that's down there, Jerry is here, one of the principals with our new development. They're willing and discussing with us how we might utilize, and you are as well, Russell, how might you redesign 122nd that gets the distance to get up over 141. We don't know what we're going to do, but we do have Russell and the developers at the table saying, okay, can we be a solution to this? What might it be? We don't have that answer, but we're trying to figure that out.
The part of the problem is that when we go to them and say, look, you know, you've got this speed differential and have accidents, what they take that is that's reinforcement to them why they should close it off. They don't view it as something they should solve. They view it as justification for even further restricting it.
Yeah, the idea is it's an Autobahn. There's no on or off anywhere. They're
But
limiting.
no accidents
They're
on that
limiting
train.
the economic.
The world's safest road is one that nobody can drive on.
It's just good to get it out though, so people know, like, because I've seen a lot of people say, well, the city designed that stop sign, or did this, or did that, or was behind some of this. It's like,
No,
nothing can be
we asked
further
for
from
a
the truth.
solution, but we did not design it.
Right.
they didn't
We
even say
did
that.
ask for a solution to get back to the orchard.
Well, because you have to be able to
And
get
back
back
to
second. Absolutely, and to get back to Grimes.
They didn't actually send us the plans. We had to go find them when they were out for bid. Otherwise, we would have to wait for construction.
So we are working diligently to.
Thanks for all your work on it. I know you guys have your work detailed.
It is very frustrating because it's like you're trying to get them to do something and all they do is turn around and say it's unsafe, let's just take more roads out. So their idea is if there was no way to get on or off to Granger, they'd be happy. Because there'd be no accidents where people get turning movements but that's not where we can be. Anything else on that one? Mayor's got me on the clock.
That was my fault, sorry.
That's all right.
You had to read it up.
I get a credit back. I get a credit back on my time.
Yeah, hey, I just, now you feel my pain of what are we running on 3 years here. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to planning and zoning, we have several items. Planning and zoning is busy this month. First is the Beaver Creek Estates PUD. What this does is, this is the Beaver Creek Estates development on the south side of 102nd. And because it really doesn't fit into any of our existing zoning classifications, we're creating a simple PUD. And the PUD consists of 3 different parcels. If you look at the north-south street, there's 19 lots on that street. And those are parcel 1, and those are minimum half-acre lots. The other, I believe there's 28 lots, which are on the east-west street, and then the cul-de-sacs that go south. That's parcel 2, that's a minimum of a 1 acre lot. We don't really have half-acre or 1 acre lots, so that's why the PUD. We've adjusted up some of the setbacks so they're larger, taking advantage of the size of the lots. Parcel 3 is everything that's commercial, which is basically on the north side of the creek, between Russell Myers and the church property. At this point, we're just saying that that's a commercial, to be a commercial use. There's a lot to be had on that one. As Kurt mentioned, we're gonna have to talk about where does 102nd go, what does the layout look like. So we're suggesting to approve the PUD, knowing that we're gonna have to come back and revisit the PUD. And when we get to the next item, the preliminary plat, we'll have to come back and revisit that. But they want to get going, the developer wants to get going on the residential. I think we've got all the things worked out on the residential vis-a-vis the zoning. So it would appear appropriate to go ahead and approve the PUD, understanding But we're likely to have to come back and make some tweaks in the PUD as a piece of the commercial, For example, if we do relocate the road and that takes up some of the space, we may want to look at, do we allow smaller setbacks, some more compact property to densify what's left, so that they still get the value in it, but we don't have any, if we have to take some of the space for future needs, maybe we offset that by allowing more compact development and not as much open space or setbacks. So I don't know where that's going to go, but we would recommend, P&Z had looked at the ordinance and they're recommending the approval. So ordinance 439 establishes that the PUD for Beaver Creek Estates, again, it just creates 3 parcels. If you read through it, in parcel one, there's a little bit of talks about for tied outlots, the setbacks or count for the outlot right on the south side of 102nd, on the east, which would be the far north lot on the east side of their north-south road. Oxley Creek cuts through there, so they created an outlot for that. So that the buildable lot is not in the floodplain. Lenders don't like to lend money against things in floodplains. And so that's in the half-acre lot area, so the lot's big enough that they can't meet all the setback requirements. Nobody other than people looking at the plat are going to know where the boundaries are, because the lot and outlot are tied together. So we address it that way. If you look over on the east in plat parcel 2, there's about 4 or 5 lots that have a big outlot behind them on the north along Oxley Creek in the floodplain. We don't need to do that because the basic lot is big enough that we don't have to worry about it. So those lots are so big that the outlot stands on its own. It has to be tied to it, but we didn't have to deal with it in the zone, in the PUD.
Anything in here regarding the width of roads and that kind of stuff?
That comes in the preliminary plat.
Excuse me?
That comes in the preliminary plat.
It's coming, okay, waiting for it.
One item ahead of us. We're one item on this.
Okay. Questions on this one?
Just curious about timing of this and us getting sewer down there. How's this, what are we looking at?
As far as houses,
Yeah, getting grading done, getting
They
lots
like-
sold, sewer and getting sewer down. What's the hope for timeline?
Early this fall, I think at the latest, they'll start in the spring. They're kind of pushing us to have our infrastructure done by the end of the year. They want to get things, the infrastructure, and start building houses in mid-26. Start of fall 26. What we're probably going to end up doing is, we have to build a lift station. The lift station takes quite a while to build. So if they move along the schedule that they move on, you may well see at the December meeting going out to bid for the lift station. It'll be a standalone package because that way we can get it going quicker than all the other stuff that we have to deal with. And so we'll probably let them start building houses next year with the idea that they wouldn't finish before we had the lift station and the sewer level. So you may see the start of the infrastructure improvements at the December meeting. I think that's the target. So that way by mid-26, if we don't have them finished, they're hoping to have them close to finished, some initial houses and then all.
Any other questions on ordinance 439? Let's get a motion on the first reading.
Make a motion on ordinance number 439, approving Beaver Creek Estates PUD and map first reading.
Shredder,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Brumel,
Yes.
and Olson.
Yes.
All right, preliminary plat.
We received this preliminary plat.
No, actually, wait a second.
We received the preliminary plat for Beaver Creek Estates. This is a 47 lot subdivision. And then the commercial property, again, as I mentioned earlier, the commercial property on the north side of the creek is really a placeholder. There's a lot of things that are moving around out there. Like where does the water main go? Because it follows the street and some other things. So there's some things we'll have to answer over the next few months. But they'd like to get going with the approval of the preliminary plat so they can restart the residential area. We've reviewed it. There are several things primarily related to the street that we need to talk about. Other than that, I think they've addressed all the issues that were identified. The first one we can bring up is the street width. So if you look at what they proposed, is the north-south street from 102nd down to the east-west street would be a 31-foot wide street. That's along the smaller lots. They're proposing the east-west street, which is the one that goes from basically the street A over to the east end. They're proposing that to be a 28-foot wide street. And then they're proposing the cul-de-sacs to be 26 foot, maybe about 4 or 5. Those are all the lots that are more than an acre in size. And so, you know, a lot of them are 1.5 to 2.5 acres. You know, they're also, then while we're talking about it, they would like to do a rural section with ditches as opposed to storm sewer, which in a large lot development is probably, you know, is the more typical way of doing it. You know, you could put storm sewer in there, but you know, when you're talking about a few hundred feet between houses, and so you know, typically in a large lot development, oftentimes you'll see it as a rural section. They originally proposed smaller cul-de-sacs, but they've now changed that to meet the larger cul-de-sac. One of the concerns of Public Works is, you know, when I turn the snowplow around, the fire truck around, or the fire truck is that long. There's 3 standards that are out there. The smaller standard is a 40-foot radius. SUDOT's recommends a 45-foot radius. The International Fire Code for long fire trucks is 48-foot radius. They've now changed from 40 to 48, which is the largest cul-de-sac that's anybody builds in a residential area. So I think we're down to 2 issues. One is the street width, and the other is the rural versus urban section. So ditches versus storm sewer curtain gutter.
So the east-west is 28, would you say north-south was?
31, which is what we require.
Right. 28 is pretty narrow. Any parking on the road?
That's what I was just gonna say, why don't we just, I mean, you wanna park on the road down there anyways?
Yeah, because that allows everyone to allow parking.
28 is pretty narrow. I mean, we haven't done that anywhere else recently. It's my only thought. But
Typically, densities.
it is.
A lot.
I get that, yeah. I'm not gonna,
And if you're not gonna have curb to go,
true.
storm sewer,
What is it out of Jester?
walking a quarter mile of your house.
Is that similar? Jester doesn't have sewer out there, and they've got the ditches. What do you know the road widths are out there?
Asphalt and ditches.
You know, most of those are probably 26.
Why they're not purchased my stills.
Well, standard lane is 13. You know, standard lane is either 12 or 13 feet. You don't have, and you lose a foot from the curb and gutter. You just take that off. So, you know, essentially a 28-foot street without, you know, the rural section is the equivalent of a 29-foot curb and gutter, but you got, you know, the curb section. You know, one of the things you see in a development when you've got 1.5 to 2 acre lots, the houses sit back, and most people don't park on the street anyway. The only time you see parking typically is if somebody's got a party going on. You know, just my neighborhood where I live in, we have 22-foot wide streets, but everybody's house is back. And so, you know,
28 doesn't bother me because of cul-de-sacs. I think that's a great change for the 48. But I don't have a big anchor on it, and 28's.
And what led us initially to allow the no curb and gutter is the wetland mitigation that's around it. There's a little bit of pushback early on when I was meeting with the initial team on doing this. Conservation was pushing pretty hard to filter the water. When Harold Lambert's still on the land, to filter the water through the grass rather than shed it through storm sewer into that wetland mitigation.
you get a lot less silt into the wetlands when you have curb.
So that, if you wonder why did we lead with that, there was some pressure early on to allow that to be filtered out. So, okay.
Yeah, from a water quality perspective, putting in a ditch line and overland improves the water quality compared to the storm sewer well. truck gets flushed immediately into the wetlands.
Based on the size of the lots, I don't think the road width is that big of a deal, 28, in my opinion.
Is it PCC or is it asphalt?
Yes,
Is it concrete or asphalt?
it's concrete. Sadly, you're right.
We were happy to designate that street as no parking too.
I don't even know if it's necessary.
I don't know.
You're gonna see it on Thanksgiving and.
That's it.
There's a difference between prohibiting parking and recognizing there's not going to be a lot of normal parking.
I think
Plus, this is a bunch of cul-de-sacs. I mean, totally not having through traffic problems that you have in some of the neighborhoods here.
I don't like adding more rules than we need to. I just think as long as the road's wide enough to get snowplow, fire trucks, things like that down, cul-de-sacs are good to turn around in. I think it's solid.
Any other questions, comments? Jody?
No, I'm okay with it.
Good.
What are we doing with the parkland?
Staff.
Still didn't have that discussion.
Not going away.
No.
And you're still on another term, Ben.
Maybe 2 years. That's right.
Yeah.
We do need a park.
Well, or you need to check, right?
Right.
I mean, those are the options. And with this one, I mean, the 40 houses need their own park, I don't know, but.
No.
Very
I
We
don't-
got a
I don't
26
think
acre
so
park
either,
that
but
needs some love.
We're planning right to check.
Okay.
I think that'd be my preference.
We can't, understand, we can't demand it,
Right.
or require it, but they can always.
I think you just did.
We have to be cautious about what we're talking about. But they can come to us and say, you know, the other thing, if you look at it, this is going to be separated from the rest of the city, so you're not going to get a lot of people out of the neighborhood coming to do it. When you start getting into 2 acre lots, you know, kids actually play in their yard.
Right.
You know, this is different than when you're in a, you know, a small neighborhood. I mean, it's like the neighborhood I grew in. Very few people go to the park, you know, everybody's lots big enough that, you know, it's like, you play in the yard, or the neighbor's yard.
Yep.
This is much better.
It is.
Yes, it
It's been a long journey to get here, this is fantastic.
Yeah, very having it out there.
So, now we're back to where we started with executive ones.
Yes.
We were excited at this point 3 years ago.
We actually had more executive lots than we started with.
Love it.
Awesome.
We need it. All right, make a motion to approve ordinance number 439, approving.
We already did
No,
that.
we did that one.
2537.
Thank you. Action to approve resolution 2025-37, approving the preliminary plat of Beaver Creek Estate, subject to the finalization of details of the engineer's report.
Second.
Okay, Zach?
Yes.
Dennison?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
Track?
Yes.
And then the next one we have is the meter, plat is to be over meters development on the east side, where used to be 117 down to 110. So just the final plat, this is more formality. They put in the infrastructure to the north-south street, which would change the name. Originally, they were gonna have that as a continuation of, and so that the staff decided those discontinuous streets, we aren't gonna have the same name on because it's gonna confuse people. And so we should have, so this is just a plat. They paved the north-south street, which should be now, that's Commerce Drive, the north-south street that they paved. Hillcrest Drive, which is the east-west street, and then the north-south street would continue on. That's going to be the continuation of Crabapple. And so those streets have not been paved at this point. We're still Kirk's in discussion with them. As you're aware, they were awarded tax credits for apartments on Lot 11, which is kind of over on the east side of it, which means they would have to pave Hillcrest Drive to get to it. There's a little bit of pushback at this point. They don't really need Crabapple, but we think we'd like to add crab apple, so if there's another way out of Twin Eagles up to 110, then you don't have to get on it, so.
Yes.
We may be back to you on that one, we're gonna figure out how we can make that work for everybody, so. We're trying to see if there's an avenue that we can get that in place and still have development go forward, so. Just heads up on that, there's, more to come, but at this point, what we have is just a final plat to establish the lots, so that, and everything in this one has to come back with site plan. Because this is all, all this is all multifamily or commercial, so they can't do anything at this point without coming back for individual development approval, so.
We'd like to have crab apple connected sooner rather than later, so we're negotiating that now.
And we're basically just negotiating with the north-south. Just the extension.
Just the
Not the
extension.
Hillcrest.
No, we're not talking about Hillcrest.
So,
If they develop Hillcrest, we would like to incentivize them. Our method of payment would only come from what they build. So we're not gonna tax the public, we would work out some incentive to pull revenue out of the development of what they build on that site to pay for that short stretch from Hillcrest to connect crab apples so you can get out of the development on 110.
Which they don't need, but we would like to have. So
Correct. We need 2 ways out of Twin Hills.
We haven't seen the deeds for the streets, have we?
That makes sense.
All right, questions or discussion from the council on resolution 2025-38?
it's like less than $100,000 to pay the to connect.
Yeah, it's not that much. I think it's something we can figure out.
Right.
No. All right, good motion. You guys are good with it?
Make a motion on resolution 2020-38, approving the final plat of Ruder Granger Plat 1.
Kyle?
Yes.
Scott? Burnell?
Yes.
Dennison?
Yes.
And the last thing I have tonight is the,
P&Z was busy.
cabinet site plan. This is down in the Court Street, where the old meat locker used to be back decades ago when I first started working out here. This actually came to the city months and months ago, but they needed variances from the Board of Adjustment, which I think they now all have. And so, it's before you, it's kind of shoehorned in. I mean, it's a little tight, but everybody, at the staff level believes it's a good fit to get something in there, a good business in there. So we're kind of trying to see what we can do to shoehorn that in there, and get that in with the still having access on both sides down to the trailer park. P&Z looked at it, did they have any issues with it?
No issues. They agreed with the recommendation to waive the requirement for a sidewalk to nowhere out front and the stormwater plan. So
And the only other thing that came up is that we did get a very slight revision today, where it looks like they're proposing to change where the water service and sewer service are connected. And we haven't had a chance to fully evaluate it. It looks like they're proposing to connect with a private water main in the trailer park. We're probably going to frown on that. So we would ask that any approval tonight be subject to staff's approval of the water and sewer service locations. I think we got it at 6 o'clock tonight, so we didn't really have a chance to. I managed to get it printed, that's as far as I got, and glanced at it.
Yeah, so we'll have, water main needs to go out to Port, north towards Legion, and then sewer has been scoped. We haven't reviewed that with the owners. We need to review the sewer scope and then make a determination of.
And I doubt there's an issue with sewer.
Right.
It's mostly the water source. So we don't want to delay, I don't think there's any reason to delay the project, so if the council does so inclined to approve, just approval to staff signing off on the water and sewer service, and then once we get that, we're good to go.
Yeah, and I'll just note the 3 things that the council will make a finding of that are in the resolution is that the stone siding is approved, they have on their plan. Any other siding materials need to go through the building inspector if they decide to change their stone siding. They'll be it. And then, except waiting the sidewalk and the stormwater runoff.
Right, and then the last one we're gonna add, the water and sewer services, so you just add them to.
So the first ones that I said are all in the resolution already, and then
Okay.
just.
So we just
They can
have
also
to,
subject
so whoever makes the motion has to make it subject to staff approval of water and sewer services.
Yeah, the rest is the resolution.
I got it. You guys good?
Yes. What's the property issue with the adjacent owner? Item number 5, site plan appears to show the remaining parking areas and the driveways will be regular surfacing. The city requires to be paid due to potential changes with adjacent property.
The motor home park.
What's that?
The motor home park.
It's in
There's everything
still in flux of what's going to
As
happen.
far as the
Oh,
surface.
The driveway.
We were required asphalt and concrete. Okay, you good then? Cool. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-39, approving the site plan for choice cabinets for 2207 Court Street, subject to staff reviewing and approving the water and sewer locations.
Second.
Okay, Suck,
Yes?
Trapp,
Yes.
Burnell,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
I think that is also by hour plus.
You have 59 minutes, Bob. You did it. All right. Anything else for Bob? All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I was just trying to think, Christie, we'll have to look at records. Like P&Z had 4 things on their meeting this month. I'm not sure the first year you and me had 4 P&Z meetings. I know we didn't have 4.
no,
All right. Okay. Kirk.
Let's go to 7A, park grading improvements. We have a recommendation to pay Construct Inc.
That number, whoever makes this motion, oh, sorry, Kirk.
No, you're-
The number needs to be 190,583.86.
Retain 5%. That's why it's not the 200,000. So we're gonna retain 5% of this. Not because there's a problem, but it's just what the contract says.
and it shows in the packet that it's, sorry. I saw the total and
Yeah, the document in there is correct. Chrissy saw a box that was highlighted and a square around it and took that number. But below that, it shows the $10,000, 5% retainage.
So we're completely done.
We gotta do some seeding up there, some straw down, and then we'll negotiate with them if we're gonna have them haul the rock or not. So the park is graded within roughly a foot. If somebody sees building plans and buildings on there, they're nothing but placeholders. The goal was to get up and get the site within a foot of final grade, and should be done.
How much dirt we got there? That's a lot.
Whenever you get Sycamore open, you can go see it.
Sounds like Thanksgiving. All right,
Need a motion?
you guys need to discuss this or have any questions? Otherwise, we can make a motion for that amount.
Good. I'll make a motion to approve payment for the park grading improvement project in the amount of $190,583.86.
Second.
Construct Incorporated.
Suck,
Yes.
Burnell,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Trapp,
Yes.
The next item is approving me to be a representative for Granger on the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance Board of Directors. I've been meeting with MEPA, this group, been meeting with MPO, Metro Planning Organization. We're not large enough to be in the Metro Planning Organization. They are talking about giving us a seat at the table, though. They typically don't have anyone under 3,000, but they recognize that we soon will be playing a role in economic development. So I may end up having a non-voting seat, have us at the table with the UPO, but for now, asking for approval to be on the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance Board of Directors. Probably will also join the executive board. There are funds that we will qualify for and be a part of the organization. We should have a good seat at the table to apply for some of those funds.
So the membership cost for this, it looks like it's like 15 cents or something per person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're talking a few $100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. This is good. All right. Questions from the council? No. Good motion.
Motion to approve Kirk as the city of Grange representative on the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance Board of Directors.
Second.
Scott,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Brummer,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Had a few discussions with several of you regarding Main Street, Broadway, kind of weaving this into what does a Main Street project look like, but you know, the streets are, you know, if we envision of who we want to be, what do the gutters look like, what do the sidewalks look like, grass in the gutters, and a vacant building on Broadway that we've been discussing, and I don't know if I want to say vacant, but there's storage in it and not a lot of activity. So several of you have had conversations with, you've been out walking and seen the area. I think it makes sense to place the focus on that. A lot of the curbing and sidewalks are bad. Grass growing up. It's going to take us to make a concerted effort to improve that. So I don't know if we need to, you know, feel free on your input tonight. I don't know if we need to decide anything tonight, but probably need to be pulling that, pull that together. And part of MIPA and the others is there are, and I meet with Dallas County Economic Development Alliance tomorrow. We'll talk about Main Street programs. Do we want to participate in one? And how do we clean up that area? I guess what I'm looking for tonight is, do you agree it needs cleaned up? And that we put some type of effort forward to do that.
Yeah, that one building's been a non-conforming use for our zoning for as long as I've been here. I mean, that's not a personal storage zoned area. It's commercial.
We should, this whole, at least three sides of it, State Street, gutters and stuff in front of the school and the rock, we probably need to make sure. And we, Bob's gone, but as a city, State Street, it's pretty much our responsibility, sidewalk to sidewalk. I mean, those shoulders in that right of way are ours. I think Granger has tended to allow the school and maybe the business there to towns to manage that, but in reality, that section, sidewalk to sidewalk, is ours. So we should at least keep it clean. That's probably different than what we've done. Main Street, same thing, and then Broadway, we should make an effort. And even if we don't take over ownership of all that cleanup, I think we need a guide to clean up all that.
On that vacant building, do we have any, can we get in there and look at it from a fire inspection standpoint? Looks like there's probably a lot of storage. Is there any avenue legally for us to?
We looked into that, or talked about that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I believe there was a provision to go out.
I think there was a provision of provision fire chief, but
for
not
fire inspection.
We should maybe look at that again.
us, and maybe our zoning. Jason Von Oswald could get in. I don't think I or Tony or council can request it.
Either way, it might get some movement. If we can get in there and see what's going on. It'd be good to know our legal, what we can do.
And then to roll in, you know, next subject is talk about public safety. There's been a lot of interest from the council to figure out that solution. One of the things that we've talked about as we look for that solution and as fire and EMS and police move, what do we do with City Hall in that location? There's been a vision out there for a while that rather than just sell the building, we should probably incentivize someone there are some water problems both in the fire department and in City Hall. You know, rain's really heavy. We do take on water, it's 4 on slab. It probably makes sense to incentivize someone to buy it, and part of buying it is you need to tear it down and build back something, build back a fourplex or something, a new building. It's not uncommon that cities would do some type of incentive, tax abatement or something on that area to incentivize someone to do that. So as we begin looking at that area and cleaning that up, when we do find a solution for public safety and then eventually City Hall does something, we should be considering how do you clean up that location and put Public Works and City Hall rather than just selling those and letting someone put something in them. We should probably do a revitalization and incentivize new construction to come back. With that, I'll kind of turn over to council thoughts. You know, we've been having a discussion on public safety.
Yeah, it sounds like
We'd like to get some traction there.
Yeah, we would, you know, we've talked about what we've got, we know that, you know, our citizens approved it. I think it's something in good faith we need to move forward with as soon as we can. We know that the water tower and Sycamore Street came up and that tied up a lot of our finances, I understand that. But we're through water tower, we know where we're gonna land on Sycamore. When Travis came and gave the financial review, it sounded like we do have the capacity probably in the next year to 2 years to pull something off. You know, I'd like to see some movement on this, even if it's just in phases. Phase 1, we get a shell up, and phase 2, whatever. But we need to see some movement on this. I think if we wait much longer, it would only make sense to take it back to a vote, which I think is a bit ridiculous because we already did that. But again, I think that the community's behind this. I'd just like to see if we can push it forward and at least get something started on that piece of property. Again, that was donated to us. We've got some money into it. I think we're probably at $200,000-300,000 just in design.
There was some design, but we had to pay to move that fiber optics line.
Yeah, we've got some design money into it. We moved some fiber optic. We've got some dirt now. It just feels like the right time. But I just wanted to make sure it was on the agenda. We talked about it because you know how this works. There's going to be another project that'll come up soon enough, and then this gets pushed back, and if you need further evidence on why we need one, come on down and give you a tour. Come down when it rains hard, and Kirk will show you the pond that we have at City Hall. It's pretty neat. And because it does flood. You know, this last time you guys had to bring in a company to dry it out. So anyway, there's a need. I think everybody agrees with that, but we need to put some teeth to it here at some point.
Rob, what does that process look like to stay under the $3 million bond amount that was approved by the public and meet the needs of fire and EMS, maybe City Hall? Understanding, I guess my only concern I'd like to know what that process looks like, but then not knowing what is going to happen in the state capitol in January with property taxes. We need to be a little bit careful because we don't know how much our hands in the city are going to be tied as far as our ability for property tax, how radical that change might be. So we just need to be aware of that going on. As I know Travis told us last month, we have bandwidth, but he also doesn't know what's going to happen in January. So what does that process look like to get to what we can do? Is that actually simpler than the last time around? Is it, do you know what it needs to be and what the first step is, or is this like a big design group project again, like last time?
They put a lot of work in. Everybody else can speak to this as my 2 cents. There was a lot of work put into that initially. I think there's a good solid design. Was there a few things that could be tweaked? Yeah, I think the first thing to figure out is that where we landed on the design. I think we're pretty close. I feel like we're pretty close. Probably talk about it again.
Is that a $5 million building now?
No, I think the concept and the square footage is probably there. I mean, do you need something in the center and all the offices divided up? No. I mean, kind of the footprint and the exterior and what each area could have, I think that is okay. As far as everything divided up? Probably not. One of the things we do want to, and this is getting a little bit in the weeds, but we do want to accommodate fire in the hot zone and the medium and cool zone and separate heat and air, but as far as, I think there's some simplification that can happen, and we're looking at that. The easy step is if a building will build, and we can just go buy it. However, when it comes to public infrastructure, schools, cities, towns, state, they close that loophole that we can't just have someone go buy it. We've had some buildings built in town that would work, and have been under that budget. But when you take it for public bid, it's a little bit higher.
And I think we need to nail down that part, and then maybe put it in phases again, where, because there are some unknowns, I think it's wise to say, in phase one, yeah, we've got a shell, we've got a few offices, or whatever that might be, right? That we make progress. We've got, those guys are in the trailer, we've got a trailer out at the water plant, we've got storage across the street, we've got, at least you put a shelf in some offices, you've got your stuff under one roof, So I think it's a step in the right direction, even if that process took a couple of years. I still think that would be okay, just because it does account for the unknowns and those types of things. But we're making some progress, We've got incredible people on there right now that know how to get money. It's insane. The amount of grants we've been getting, those types of things, they're chomping at the bit to, can we start raising money yet? So it's not going to be entirely paid for by that, but I know they're going to go after that stuff, and that's just a bonus. So
what would it cost to move the dirt and lay the concrete on the footprint? I mean, is that where we start with that? Like that's.
I think we've talked about, we had 150, in the initial bid, there's 150,000 in their work.
I think you close it in, even if it's just your initial shell, you close it in. And, because then you can start doing some of the stuff, you're saving some money from, I know the rental's not crazy, but it's still something, You can start using it for trainings and different things like that.
Probably need to just get some options together for the council that they can look through.
And we have contractors, as many of you are aware, we've had contractors come forward who have built buildings of this size, significantly less.
Yes.
2 of them are in our community right now. And the contractors are saying, and we're having discussions. I think the main thing is we do need to come to a conclusion of what you want it to look like. I think the square footage of what we have designed is okay. I'm not gonna die on a hill to say that design is what we need to go with. There's some inefficiencies in it, and it's chopped up. But I think we can come to a conclusion of how many square feet, what's each department need, and City Hall can or cannot go. We don't have to. If you need someone in there, on a permanent basis for a while, we could go. And then you can sell the building we're in, and some of that money can go towards that. But we're not hung up on that we have to go. If it needs to be a separate building for public safety or departments, we're happy to do that.
Yeah, I think those things can be made down the road too.
Yep.
As long as we get the square footage right,
Yep.
you can do a lot of things within that.
And there were, the lot needs raised. I mean, does need to come up a little bit. And we potentially do have access to some of that clay now. Could save us money for us to manage that piece of it, just to clear it off and have clay dry and raise the elevation. I think we all agree that is the location, that we're not looking anywhere else. And utilize what we have and utilize that spot and come to a conclusion on the size and design.
What's our normal parkland dedication? It's based off parkland dedication. It's based off what they pay per acre, right?
Yeah, I think this one's around 35,000.
For Big Creek? That's it?
I can calculate.
I don't remember the calculation.
It's not crazy.
I guess I would say that it makes sense, if City Hall does move into the building, even if it's temporary. I think
you know, we work closely with them. Doesn't make sense for us to drive across town to, you know, talk to Christie or Kirk, and I just think it's a good move if we do move the building or build a building. You know, if it's a couple of years that City Hall's in there, I think that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, we've talked a lot about different models, and you know, we talked recently. There's one up in Gilbert they did not too long ago. That's what they have. It's the public safety building with City Hall, and there's a lot of efficiencies in that with, you know, shared meeting space. Very seldom are you meeting at the same time. You got to coordinate that a bit. But there's just a lot of efficiencies in that. I think our community would appreciate that. If you build it thoughtfully, you can, you know, separate entrance for City Hall, and it's not a risk for fire, EMS, and stuff like that, and police. So that would be my vote for sure, would be that it would be City Hall would be up there. And I would even say, finish offices, you know, and then in phase one, you get a shell, you can use the bays, whatever. So maybe not temperature controlled yet, but get offices done, City Hall moves up there. You know, I think you can do it in phases like that, and you know, not go over what our bound amount is, and then.
Why don't we have a few contractors who are just going to give us kind of their estimate on what they can build something similar. Why don't we get those and then start looking at honing in that design again? And
Well, that's kind of where I was going.
Bring
You
that
gotta
back to the
know
council.
what you want to build before you can get numbers for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We'll get
if
current
it's not the
numbers.
design we have,
Right.
you guys should put together, and what you need, what we can get rid of, what the shell would look like, and then we can at least have a good design to go to the builder and say, okay, this is what we want. I mean, we'd still have to bid it, right?
Yes.
So.
Be wonderful if someone would build it, but.
We can have that by next month, can't we?
Yeah. I mean, we can have options, and that we need to keep it pushing on a track. We'll bring stuff back next month.
Yeah, I would have a design or two that you guys want to do. That's, if it's shell, if it's bare bones, whatever the bare bones or whatever the phase you want to do. I'd have that so you guys can sign off on it in December and we can get running on it. Because otherwise we're just going to keep recycling the same conversations. Like, what if we do this? What if we do? Let's have some designs. Let's run the numbers on the designs or bid it.
Good.
All right. Anything else for Kirk?
The only other thing is downtown, we're getting several requests on storage containers. Scott Towns wants to clean up his lot, wants to put a storage container, right behind City Hall and across from the school. He'd like to put a lot of that stuff. His ambition is good and his goal is good, but it doesn't meet zoning. The question is, do you want him to go seek a variance? Is there a temporary, or is the answer is it's downtown in a commercial district across from the school? We don't want. Cities are pretty careful about allowing storage containers in their downtowns.
Well, what's our ordinance say? I mean, we allow it or not?
I don't believe that has under current zoning.
So they can't, the council can't say they can have it.
No.
I mean,
You have to change the zoning.
yeah, you either have to change the zoning or you have to.
Scott's a good neighbor, and I said I will let the council know and get their, we initially had said no. And he said, why don't we just do it temporarily? I said, well, I can take that to the council, I can tell you what the answer will be, but, so
Well, I get,
we are having that discussion. It's pretty difficult, once you let those in, and we have some, there are some out on 141 west of Centennial that they've had in there for years. So prior to a lot of zoning activity here, you have that.
different thoughts from the council?
No.
Not a fan.
Good.
Yeah, just a quick update on the ITID case. The complainant responded on November 6th. Our attorney, Adam Hume, submitted a short email response addressing a couple items on the 7th. And so the next step is the staff at Iowa Public Commission Board puts together a report, has that report meeting. We would expect that to be next week. They meet monthly. The next board meeting is November 20th. We don't have anything yet that says it will be, but their general process is they'll probably take that up next week. We'll let you know.
Council question? All right. All right, so P&Z, Ryan Hill. Kirk, any comments on this one?
No, recommendation is to approve.
All right, yeah, recommendation to approve Ryan to add to P&Z.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Ryan Hill to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term ending December 31st, 2020.
Second.
Shao,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Darrell,
Yes.
Danielson.
Yes.
All right. Do we have any public works items?
No, I just want to, other than everything that Bob's already covered, a couple of things Public Works is working on. We'll be getting bids to next spring. We're not going to do it yet this fall. We'll be getting bids to join the 8-foot walking trail in front of the ball fields in front of the community center to extend 8 feet up to Sycamore. So in theory, you now should be in the future be able to get from the elementary to the school. It'll be 8 feet on our portion. Once you get out to Sycamore, it'll be 10 feet. We are going to loop a little bit around that gas substation, those valves there on Lowell and Sycamore. So we'll be on the north side of that. We got approval from Black Hills to put that in there. So right now, Public Works is working, going to get bids from contractors to do that. Also have a new batting caging grant that we received with, if I'm taking some of that, and we need to probably work with some volunteer groups, 10 Squared. We do have funds and need to purchase some poles and things to put up those dual batting cages. And Public Works has been working with Alicia doing that. And then Alicia has some other items for infrastructure with Park and Rec that we're looking at and Public Works is working on. So other than that, they're putting up snow fence and putting in water meters and changing out some meters inside some homes and new construction. So it's been pretty active.
Council, anything for Public Works?
You got open position?
We do.
Yeah.
Sewer plant. We've had two people in the position, early in the workforce, and it's pretty difficult. You get someone certified, and they have a good opportunity to go somewhere else. And it's just kind of part of it.
We need to look at compensation or benefits or anything that would help in that area.
Benefit package is good. Problem is when you go to another entity, you get the same benefit or better.
Okay.
I think the city's benefit package is fine.
I'm going to say it again. Before I will vote yes on any new hire, we need to figure out where our managers are going. Are we paying somebody $38 an hour to mow grass? Nobody can answer that question. I've been asking for how long? So they need to get it figured out.
What do you want to do?
We need to track the time. I mean, we're going into snow season. Why not track how many hours that we're spending doing snow? Why don't we do the same thing for mowing? But how many months? 18 months.
So this person, the reason you're thinking is,
Yeah, get your shit in order so we can have our stuff, our ducks in a row for when we're ready to grow and we know our costs.
you're saying like this person who we hired for this water treatment plant is going to be paid sewer, for sewer is also going to be mowing and doing snow.
They're general level.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
No, we're hiring for
unfortunately,
high rate.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you hire one guy that can do both at $50 an hour and then you're replacing the cutting of the grass, the other lion's share of the year at 16?
Yeah.
asked that several months ago for somebody to look into a time system, correct?
The
I
system
think
that
Jared
we
was
have
on the
right-
committee.
I mean, the system that we
I don't
use
know
right
what his
now,
committee report is.
the system that we use right now is going to the cloud. Me and Karen has been pushing it to kind of want to get to the budget, but it does have a time tracking system, the system that he's actually asking for. So
We have
we are eventually getting on
We just, it has the capability, but they're not inputting the data yet.
We don't have the software yet.
that. Once we go to the cloud.
Oh,
the
once we
software,
go,
we've already paid
sorry.
for it, yes.
So you're saying we
But-
don't have the capability at this point? I mean, there's simple apps.
We're
that
going
don't
in
cost anything.
phases, these,
$12
you
a
know.
month.
Yeah.
Sure.
Our phase, Granger is not supposed to be put on until March. But that was during budget, so we asked if we can kind of push it to, July 1 or whatever.
The system she's talking about is cities had to switch over from the operating systems that we use and we communicate with the state on budgets and taxes. So what she's talking about is an encompassing system that all employees can input their time on. What Jared's talking about is a time tracking.
Right.
But it will do that too.
Right.
So, I mean.
But we need to implement
Get in
a
there.
separate public works time tracking and I'll,
I get it's complex too, in terms of,
that's not complex.
well, in terms of the employees, like, we're not saying that you don't trust what you're doing. That's not what you're saying.
No.
It's just a matter of being a good steward of the taxpayer dollars. I think that's important to know how it's explained clearly, and you'll do a great job, but sometimes when people hear that, it's, oh, so you don't think I'm working. That's not at all the case. I think a lot of us have been planned for the future, and how do we allocate dollars, and make sure you have enough, is the other side of it.
When will we know those numbers?
It's gonna take a year by the time we get a creative history of it. How many acres do we mow? How many man hours do we spend a year doing it?
You mean useful data?
Yeah.
A year.
Well, he's asking, yeah.
Right.
But when will we
You can
see
start
that?
in hours next week. As far as, I mean, we've done this before, in places event where it's like, well, what did you do last week and how many hours, what did you spend your time on? And again, initially, employees are like, what, you don't trust me? It's like, no, that's not it. It's a matter of, where it should be coming from budgetary too. So if you're working at the water plant, but then 20% of your time is mowing, or 50% of your time is moving snow, we budget differently. Just gotta do something with it.
Well, we will do categories, so you'll have mowing, you'll have water plant, sewer plant, you'll have road repair. You'll have park maintenance, we'll have all that. There's a time sheet every day.
I mean, we do with fire and that's, but smaller scale, you have to designate where you're at, what you're doing. Pay it out of the right budget.
What do you do? We're laughing.
That's good.
We don't charge that by the hour.
I will say, like Polk County Conservation, I know it doesn't fix the time issue, but they hire retired people in the summer to mow for them because they can hire them much cheaper. And then their workers are not, just sit on a mower all day.
They're not paying benefits.
Right, where's the right seat, utilize your assets.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking.
Yep, it's fair. As long as they know and they feel supported, that's the other side of it for me.
All right, anything else, Public Works? All right, police report?
Question, report.
Questions for Chief?
We had joint training with Madrid PD, fire training, they rented the firearms range at Camp Dodge, Iowa, then they were shooting some pop-up targets, moving targets. It's fun.
Did you pass?
What's that?
Did you pass?
Barely. I had my glasses on. We were shooting out to 300 yards. So ways out there, those little 223s. But been in the schools a lot. It's going over well. The kids are enjoying it. I enjoy seeing the kids daily. It's great. Then the school's done. we're able to get in there.
Palmer says he sees you every day, so.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Chief Cox?
And in case you're wondering, the PD does not have water troubles. We're on blocks.
It really have to rain, they get up to you guys. What I'm hearing is that City Hall would like to swap.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, fire and EMS.
Yeah, we had 26 calls in October. That was the busiest month of the year. We made 25 of the 26. We were unable to staff one of those calls. For training this month, we did education training, so we had 2 vehicles. Vendor came out and demoed some battery-powered tools, and then we used our tools as well. We received a donation from the 10 Squared Men of $2,000. That money was used to buy 4 new helmets and then 2 wildland packs. So thank you to the 10 Squared Men of Ranger. We've got 3 people that just passed their EMR class, so they're going to be taking their test here in the next month. 5 individuals are taking their Firefighter 1 training certification at the end of this month. And then 3 EMT students are starting their right time this month, so they will be done next month. We're busy besides calls on special events, so we had our fire prevention event, open house, so we had about 200 people attend that. Stand by for the Iowa State University Equestrian Center horse show, so we did that as well. And then probably we went out and did trick or treat with the kids, so pretty busy. Last week we had a kind of a larger scale incident, so had a gas leak on Sunview Drive. They had to evacuate Sunview Drive and then Windcrest. Windcrest. Thanks to PD and then Polk City, they came over and helped us. But we had 13 individuals on scene for us, so really good show up for us. I'm going to steal Chief Drenner's thunder on this next one. So we received a notification that we're going to be awarded $67,000 for a new AED, 2 AEDs and then a life pack for our ambulance. So this is a huge deal. It'll be a life pack 35. So.
Is this the same thing that was requested 6-8 months ago? That
Yes.
we wanted to take out of our budget to pay for? Do you guys? You said there no problem.
Yeah.
She got the grant for it?
It was actually Emily Blair, so she was the one that was behind all this. So.
Nice.
Awesome.
Good work.
Yeah, well done.
That's great. She's phenomenal.
Please pass that along.
Yeah.
Did you say anything about Robin yet? Are you gonna
No,
mention that?
we'll talk about that here in the next few weeks.
Fabulous. Thank you.
So, we'll have a pretty big announcement in the next couple of weeks on some exciting things. So,
Yeah,
That
Emily
was
Blair is a volunteer.
yeah, she's paid on call.
And going to school, and she's getting her.
Yeah, she's in the EMT class.
Phenomenal.
She's our public relations coordinator, so
She's phenomenal.
doing great things.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, thanks for doing great. Appreciate you guys. Okay, so you need our action, you need our motion to approve myself, Christie, and the chiefs to sign the agreement for the funds.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you have a year to, basically the agreement says there's a year to spend the money. So it won't take you that long.
No,
Sounds like we're good to go.
we're hoping to get this to the Dallas County Board of Supervisors in the next month. So
It's really awesome.
just want to get this signed and then send it off.
If they give you the money up front, you should have.
Yeah, I believe so.
I think they bought the last time, we got a grant for the last one, didn't we? Remember that?
So
Years
yeah,
ago.
this will include all the training, so they'll come on site and do the training for us and show us everything. So that's great stuff.
Good deal. All right, your motion.
Let's do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Make a motion to approve and authorize Mayor clerk, fire chief, and EMS chief to sign an agreement with Dallas County for receipt of not to exceed $67,552 of funds from National Opioid Litigation Settlement for the things stated.
Second.
Okay, Stock,
Yes.
Bernal,
Yes.
Danielson,
Yes.
Trapp.
Yes.
So we will, right now the department's got one AED besides the life bag. So the two other AEDs will go on frontline vehicles, and then we're going to look at selling the AED or the life pack back so we can purchase more AEDs for other vehicles. So we'll come back and get approval for that.
Good. All right. Any questions on the report before I get to B, C, and D, I guess? Okay, let's get a motion to approve resignation of Mallory.
Make a motion to approve resignation of Mallory Ruland, effective immediately.
Okay, Trapp,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Bernal,
Yes.
Danielson.
Yes.
All right, and then do we need to do C with pending the drug screen, or is that all
They've
done?
all been done.
All done, okay, so we can just go with C now.
Make a motion to approve the hiring of Owen Frisk as EMT for $18 an hour and Hayden Richards as paramedic at $22 an hour, effective immediately.
Trapp,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Bernal,
Yes.
Danielson.
Yes.
Okay, Tyler, are you queuing this one up for us, or Ben, are you queuing this one up for clerk, or what are we
I
doing
can
here?
read back.
All right, so we're talking about rescinding a resolution from 2011,
Yes.
that grossed up pay, and just making it just a flat pay at this point? Okay.
Well, we did a flat pay back, just that's what this resolution was, so it's a bookkeeping nightmare for me, because I'm having to gross up wages, every month, and IVers, and then their W-2, I have to fix their W-2 again here. I think the point it was made back then was when, Tatum Hall wasn't making,
It was $15 a call.
yeah,
So it was minimal,
it was
nominal
nominal.
money compared to what.
Right.
And so back then it was, the gross up part is that, when you get a W-2, your FICA or paycheck, your FICA employee pays half of it, the employer pays half of it. But the city was covering the employee side, so putting that much more, it's $15 plus whatever that was in IVers amount. Just as a benefit to them. So they actually got their $15 instead of getting $13.87 or whatever it comes.
Correct.
But yeah, that was when it was $15 an
I
hour.
put an example in
Now it's more.
my packet, just to let you know what I was doing each month, but I just figured you guys have more increase in pay, and you're going on more calls. Yes, since 2011, that we can look into resending this, starting January 1.
What was your example again? Can you just tell us?
Yeah, so in that
I'm
packet,
looking for it.
no, you're good, it's,
You guys good with that?
Yeah, we talked to Christie.
so my example is that a firefighter, earns $15, or they're to get $15. I was grossing up their wages, so their net pay would remain $15. The city was paying the employee portion of their taxes and IVers. But at the end of the year, when I did their W-2, I would fix their W-2 so that it would show those gross wages.
I understand that. How's it gonna work moving forward? What are they gonna see as a change?
It's just gonna be another paycheck.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna
So
have,
they're gonna just.
they're gonna pay
like
their
everybody else.
portion.
Perfect.
Yeah, employers,
Yep. That's
just
all.
like any of, yeah, sorry.
Nope.
I just wanted to, yeah, but it's a nightmare, it's just because we got more people on staff and we're making more money, so I just don't feel like we need to be doing this. I've had questions from why are we doing this, and well, there's a resolution out there, and maybe I should bring it back at some point, so.
It's just more efficient that we run the payroll like everybody else.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, any questions, concerns from the council on that? All right, let's get a motion then on resolution 2025-4.
I'll make a motion. To approve resolution 2025-40, rescinding resolution 2011-16 adopted February 9th, 2011 regarding grossing up of volunteer firefighter and EMS pay.
Okay, Stop.
Yes.
Child.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
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 All right. Anything else, Chief? Nope. Anything else for fire and EMS? Really proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. Parks and Rec.
The first one, so RCX Sports is the overarching parent for NFL Flag, Junior NBA, and NLSO. I've been working with Grimes Parks and Rec a lot to kind of come to a solution of how can we still maintain a lot of our Granger youth that are going to Grimes for sports. Because we are sending quite a bit of Granger children over to Grimes. So instead of paying Grimes a fee to participate in our leagues, if we became league operators ourselves through Junior NBA and NFL Flag, fiscally we maintain a lot more of that income revenue. So we would still have our practices here on Granger facilities and then participate in their games on those facilities. So we wouldn't be paying Grimes for anything. So basically it makes a lot more sense for us to become the operators of those programs so that we can run them here in Granger. And then there's nobody around us that does MLS Go, but looking, it's the same amount of resources that are provided, just like Junior NBA and NFL 5. There's a lot of coaching resources that provides discounted background checks for our volunteers. And each player, we pay a fee per player, and each player receives a whole uniform kit, and then we also receive balls for the program. So it makes a lot of sense to have MLS Go instructors as well. For those programs, the insurance requirement that we have to have is a little bit more than we currently have. So that would raise our annual premium up by $450. So that's what I'm asking for you guys to approve for us to raise up to the minimum requirement for insurance so we can apply for those leagues.
How much do we pay for these now?
We don't pay.
Cash expense.
Yes. If we were to send youth to the Grimes programs and practice here, but they maintain the league operator status and we do not, we would be paying them at least $35 per kid. And their registration fee, not ours.
But it sounds like what you're proposing is, so the kids that are going to Grimes, my two kids go to Grimes right now for flag football.
Yeah.
We get to maintain that experience where they're playing the Grimesplex on the turf with the cool jerseys and the flags and against all those teams.
Yeah.
But they get to play with their Granger buddies now on
Yes.
Granger teams.
We would have Granger specific teams.
I think that sounds like a really cool solution. I love it. Yeah.
No.
So we don't have, the challenges like, do we have enough teams to have our own league? But unfortunately we don't. So if we get 1 to 2 teams for 5th and 6th grade flag football, then we can still practice here in our facilities. We run our own league, but we're participating in their games and Super Bowl championship.
My opinion, only having done it the last couple of years here, is I would rather maintain participation in their league and not try to duplicate what they're doing.
No.
So
With
I wouldn't
first,
want to run a
for first and
Super Bowl.
second grade, we have the attendance to be able to duplicate it here. But for 3rd and 4th grade and 5th and 6th grade, we don't have.
What they do over there is pretty cool, so the fact that we can partner with them is awesome.
Need approval? Yep, need a motion to approve that $450 unless there's more discussion we need.
Sounds like they're doing some.
Alright. I'll make a motion to approve Parks and Recreation to apply for RCX Sports Leagues, Junior NBA, MLS Go, and NFL Flag, and payment of $450 for general liability insurance to meet the insurance requirements for RCX Sports League.
Second.
Okay, Nelson.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
Child.
Yes.
Okay, then we got a couple of people, we're gonna fill our Parks and Rec board, so, somebody dropped the champagne. So Randy and Samantha reached out, is it CZAC? Cheechak, okay, sorry. All right, Cheechak. So, Randy and Samantha, so those are our new, board members, so need a motion to approve them.
All right, make a motion to approve the appointment by Mayor Randy Graff to the, I do both of them simultaneously.
Yeah, except you just have to know that his is completing a term for 6 months
so
here.
that's what
And
you're doing.
then a new one after that.
All right, approve the appointment by Mayor Randy Graff to the Parks and Recreation Board to complete current term ending December 31, 2025, and for a new term ending December 31, 2030.
Second.
Dennison.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Stock.
Yes.
Platt.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the appointment by the Mayor of Samantha Cheechak to the Parks and Recreation Board for a term ending December 31, 2027.
Second.
Dennison.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Stock.
Yes.
Platt.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, anything else, Alicia?
Thank you.
Any new for Alicia?
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, auditor report. Kirk, are you taking this one, or Ben, or Kristen?
I can, there's 3 things in there. So segregation of duties is the one that's always been there for a town.
They're always, all of them are.
Yeah. The second one is the same one that we've had for years of figuring out some capital improvement. The money's correct, the reporting got off. And it was closer, I don't know, did you work with Travis last year or?
You're talking on B?
On B, yeah.
Oh, so for that 721, I keep track of my capital projects
Yeah.
in separate funds. So a lot of times they're negative because we don't have revenue pulling into that. It is legal. I talked to Ted and Department of Management said that's perfectly fine. But according to our audit, they just have to mark it on there. They're aware of how I do my books, basically.
Like the money
That
all
makes
balances
sense?
out.
Correct. It all balances out.
You know, there's no issue,
No.
It's just another
They
shortfall.
just have to note it because it
Different
looks
than-
like, it's a negative in that.
And the separation of duties thing, we've had that all 8 years I've been here. And they literally tell us there's nothing we can do to take that off. Because we
There's
have a financial committee that reviews all the bills, and because we're a small town, it'll be on there every time.
And then the third one, I pulled the wrong, or not the wrong numbers, but the numbers I rolled over from 24 to 25 didn't come over like I thought they did, so it got the numbers off. Again, the numbers are all correct on our books, it was just the report got off on the original TIF fund report last year. Usually Ted would contact me if, once I get sent through, he looks at it and says, hey, this is off, we did it last year, so.
And
I'll get that corrected for the filing this.
And that was filed like December 2nd, right, or something.
It was shortly after, yeah, we'll get it filed next year. Yeah.
So the only thing I'd mention on this audit report is if you guys were here for Travis, what he said, right, is at what point does the city want to start budgeting a full audit, right? Because that will open up, and what that does for financially is it opens you guys up for the big banks, right? Right now, we can't go to a Chase or a Bank of America or Wells Fargo and lend money or get money. Right? But if you kind of go to the next phase of the audits, which is a little bit more money, something the council can think about will allow you a little more flexibility when you're financing things. So something to think about. This one runs us $8,000 a year, something like that. And I think they said the other one was 20, 25 or something. Yeah, it was like an additional extra 15 or 20,000.
Yeah, I think it's 15.
So something for the next group to think about. Any other questions, concerns, discussion items on this? All right. What's the next resolutions here, Ben? Are these all yours?
There's all Chris's. I just put the number on them.
All right.
Yeah, so the city street finance report is a report that I have to file with any department. I have a Department of Transportation that just summarizes what I spend road use tax money on for FY 2025. So, that just summarizes what I spent on general fund, road use tax, any debt service, your special revenues is your lost, and capital projects. And that capital projects is what kind of skewed on that summary because that is the Sycamore project.
So that number,
That
I
I
asked
spent
about this,
money on,
yeah, the number is negative on slide 155, right? Our overall number is negative, but it's because we paid for Sycamore Street. We have borrowed
You spend money up front,
Pay us
engineering fees, so forth.
back for
We
Sycamore.
haven't got funding yet, but that's our next. So that would show, and that is what this report is. It just basically summarizes what I spent on road use taxes. If I do not, and it's due December 1st, if it doesn't get filed, then we could possibly not get road use tax funds. I think I have until March, but I always get it down when it's due, so that's what that report is.
Any questions on item 15, the finance report, street finance report? Need a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-41, approving street finance report for road use tax.
Kyle?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
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 All right, what's next, Christie?
Yep, and then the annual financial report is also a report that's due to the state. It is a report that summarizes our expenses and revenue and any fund balances for FY 2025.
Anything the council needs to know on this one, or questions the council has? Nope. All right.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-42, approving the annual financial report for fiscal year 24-25. Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Danielson?
Yes.
All right, the amendment to the budget, what do we do with the budget?
So I did put a little spreadsheet in there for you to see what revenues I put in, expenses. The majority is for the Sycamore and Parkland. And then I had time to enter in Beaver Creek Estates that when Travis was here, we talked about adding in 600,000 in there. And then I added in, so that's on the revenue and expense side. Added in the ambulance grant. I put 80 in there, that's what they went after, we got 67. That's also on both sides. The reimbursement for a resource officer, that's on the revenue side. Insurance reimbursement for the stolen property at the sewer plant. So that's revenue and expense side, because we had to go out and spend all, replace all that. And then just some other expenses that we didn't have in our budget was the podcast. And then we had some other general government, Ranger, the GDC gave for 5,000 there, some extra intern fees, salaries. Other than that, and then I had some transfer in and outs included in there as well. Because some things were being paid out of one project, and we are reimbursing LASAC for the Parkland. So I have to do a transfer in and out for that.
Questions on this one? Not for me. All right, take a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-43, adopting amendment to fiscal year 25-26 city of Ranger budget. Second.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Danielson?
Yes.
All right, finance committee.
All right, Jeremy and I went through invoices, purchase orders, claims list, bond payments for June and December, delinquent list, bank statement reconciliation, balance sheet, outstanding checks, bank statements, void checks, journal entries, budget reports, time sheets. And we did find doing anything other than we would request the time cards be filled out to the hours they worked instead of just writing down the days. About it.
Motion to approve finance committee report?
Second.
Okay, Zach?
Yes.
Dennison?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
Track?
Yes.
Motion to approve bills for payment?
Second.
Zach?
Yes.
Dennison?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
Track?
Yes.
The only thing I have, is everybody good Friday, 2 o'clock?
Phone call.
Phone call.
Yeah, or we'll have to set up a Zoom phone call or whatever we can do for that.
Yeah, so I was gonna say there's a couple of options for that, it won't take long, I don't have the docs yet on tomorrow, I'll send out to you. But we could do, one thing we've done in the past is have the council meeting just set for City Hall and have Kirk and Christie at City Hall, that way it's open to the public, anybody who wants to come in, and you can conference in. Anybody that wants to call in, I'm not sure what full capabilities are, but conference all that in, we can do it that way, that's probably the easiest way to do it, rather than setting up a Zoom, video, we can just do it by phone. But whatever your preference.
That's fine, that's fine, you guys can,
Yeah.
that's fine with you guys.
Just gotta post the agenda like the.
Yeah, so I have the agenda drafted this, and so I'll just have it for 2 o'clock on Friday at City Hall.
Right.
And
To
then,
give for the public and for those members, just give the details of why the main gist around this is we need to get Finisted's paid because of the timing and how we have to do bonding. We had to have another meeting. We didn't have that information from bonding counsel and from our legal counsel until this morning. Other legal, not them.
Right.
And we want to get the Finisted family paid, and we need to hold another meeting to finish that process on the bonding where we've already held the public hearings on.
so it'll be, and there's 2 types of GO loans because of the timing of it, some's taxable and some's not taxable, slightly different interest rates. So there's 2 different series of bonds that are being issued to cover Sycamore plus Finisted plus a little bit for Beaver Creek.
But if you miss that timeline, we have to go taxable bond, which will cost us more. So it's not like we're not, our bonding counsel isn't leading us down to hide anything. They're saying, hold a meeting by Friday to get your non-taxable rate. Or if you miss that deadline, then we're gonna have to redo it. You're gonna get taxed on it. It's gonna cost the public more. We've already held the public hearings. We've been very open and transparent about the process to get Finisted paid and to reduce some of this more.
And taxable or non-taxable is whether the bank has to declare the interest as taxable or non-taxable to them, so they charge a higher rate if they've got a big tax.
And we just got that information today.
Yeah, just the timing thing, we're working on.
So I'll get that information out to you. We will still need to have so we need to get the Finisteds to get them paid, and then we also need to get Sycamore so that we can certify the debt by December 1 to lock in to capture the debt. So we're gonna have to have another meeting before the end of the month. There'll be another short one, but it'll have to certify that once we get the closing done, which would be probably Monday or Tuesday of the following. So that one we can probably do by Zoom, whatever works, but I won't know until probably Thursday, tomorrow or Friday, when the bond council will have the next set of docs for us. So they're preparing something for Friday, and then there's another set for.
If they'd like to work late, you can call on Friday, that'd be wonderful.
That won't happen. Because we have to close the transaction with the banks Monday probably. Unless we wanted to front all of the money, which was Travis's other option. And I said, no, I think we would prefer to have the money before we spend the money.
Correct. All right, anything for me? Christie, correspondence? All right, we're adjourned.